That right there, that's Mike Gebert. He's the man behind Fooditor. The Fooditor 99 is out now, the new edition. I love this. I look forward to this every year. In the back seat is Rafael. Rafael, what's your last name?
Esparza, Esparza.
He is the proprietor of Finom Coffee, Finom, which is where we are parked outside. We have food from Finom. We're going to get to that. But can you indulge me in celebrating my sponsor?
Yes.
Okay. Car Con Carne is sponsored by C&H Financial Services. Business owners, Rafael, are you tired of your hard-earned profits going toward paying expensive fees every time your customer pays with a credit or debit card? You are? Okay, so I can hook you up with these guys. I'm just saying.
Put me in touch.
I will. C&H, or we are happy to announce that our partners at C&H Financial Services have the solution. C&H is the fastest growing financial services company in Illinois as recognized by Inc. magazine. That's no small deal. Inc. magazine. That's not highlights. This is the real thing.
INC or INK?
INC.
Ooh, yeah, that is a big deal.
Is INK like a tattoo?
It'd be a tattoo.
And their patented technology allows you to eliminate 100% of the fees associated with accepting credit and debit cards as a form of payment. That's right, Mike and Rafael, 100% of the fees. C&H will also upgrade your business to the industry's leading point-of-sale system to streamline every aspect of your business for no cost. No cost. Visit freeprocessingnow.com or call 855-600-2437 extension 999 and start saving money today. I can hook you up, for real.
Honestly, I'm saving that in my notes.
I'll get you some information.
Yeah, give me some info.
They're my guys.
It's Car Con Carne. Let's eat in the car. It's Car Con Carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Alstyne.
All right, so let's talk about Fooditor. Hold it up again.
Okay.
This is a rich annual tradition in Chicago. It's a breakdown of 99 must-visit restaurants. On the list this year, Finom Coffee, which is a newcomer. When did you open the place?
November 3rd, 2019.
Okay, so we have a lot of ground to cover. This is you're in that fresh new restaurant phase.
It's been a weird year.
Well, I mean, opening around the holidays sounds.
It was probably one of the stupider things I think I've ever done. It's just one of those bonehead things. You're like, okay, we're going to open in a month because we were supposed to open in March of 2019. And November 3rd is a far cry from March.
Was it one of those things like getting city licenses was holding you up?
All that stuff. It was the build out, the licensing, the inspections. We're in an old building, so we had way more hoops to jump through. It was just such a pain. Things that I've opened restaurants before, but I've never dealt with the minutia of opening a restaurant.
Oh, I'm sure in Chicago it's tons of red tape and headache.
I mean, yeah. To put it kindly, for sure. Red tape and headaches.
So I want to talk about Fooditor. I want to talk about Finom, but we have food that's getting cold. So I want to pay respect to the food and eat it. So what is Finom? This is a Hungarian
it's a
coffee
Hungarian
house / restaurant?
Shop. Yeah. So the way that started is my business partner, Danny. His wife is Hungarian. And there's a lot of backstory where we used to work together, and I was going to open a spot, asked him to come along, and that never materialized. So one day he left his job. He was working as a corporate chef at Nordstrom, and he left his job and he called me and said, "Hey man, do you want to open a restaurant?" I was like, "Absolutely not. I don't want to open a restaurant. I fucking hate restaurants." I was done with restaurants at that time. And I go, "But I'm willing to talk about anything else. Whatever else you want to do, let's do it." So we met up at a coffee shop in Pilsen, the Jumping Bean. I've been going there forever, and I'm from Pilsen. So we went there, we met up, and he said, "So what do you want to do?" We were just spitballing. I said, "What about a coffee shop? But one that does food, real food, not
right, just opening a coffee shop seems like a fool's errand."
Yeah, it's all. I mean, the margins are high, so if you're in the right spot, you can make a lot of money with a coffee shop. If you've noticed that there's a lot of mom and pops that they'll have 2 or 3 little spots, Brew. Jumping Bean now has 4 of them. I mean, it
just seems like competitively speaking,
for sure,
a tough racket.
But I mean, yeah, for sure. So we wanted a neighborhood that was kind of No one's really doing anything in the neighborhood. Sorry, Irving Park.
No, it's true. I mean, the Golden Nugget is all I think of when I think of this area, traditionally
It's like,
speaking.
yeah, seriously. And then like now you have Chicago Taco Authority. Sorry about that.
CTA.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Eris and us, you know what I mean? Like we're all like kind of ground floor of this.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll do a coffee shop, but I want to do real food because I'm tired of going to coffee shops and eating like wraps. And
Yeah,
so,
of
which,
course.
you know, no offense to, I love wraps. I eat wraps a lot, but anyone who loves wraps, I'm sorry. But
Something beyond a wrap or a pastry
seriously,
of some
it's-
sort. Yeah.
it's annoying. And I mean, and they're expensive as shit. Like you go there, it's not $3 wrap, fine, I'm in. Let's go. You know what I mean? But $8 for a tortilla and like spinach, that's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
It's annoying. And I was like, dude, like why are and I was just watching people fork over money for shitty food. And seriously, it was insane. And I was like, well, we both know how to cook. Why don't we do something with food? Like, but I don't want to do Mexican food because that's like a dime a dozen here, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or anything else. Any of that other shit. It's just been done to death. So he's like, well, how about Hungarian food? And I was like, I know nothing about Hungarian food.
That's an underserved category.
Literally, the only thing I know about Hungary is that it's a country, and I assume that people eat there because there's people who live there. So they have
All
to
I
eat.
know about Hungary is that I think they eat a lot of paprika.
So much fucking paprika. It's something I've learned the hard way too. It's in everything. You cannot get away from it. And as we started doing the food, I was like, okay, like this is kind of familiar. It's cumin, paprika, onions, peppers. We do all that in Mexican food too. So it's just flipping ratios and.
Mm-hmm.
The rest is kind of history. But also back to that point, he said, well, if we do it, it's really home style food. Because, you know, I worked in some fancy spots. So, like, Momotaro, a couple other spots, Shibumi in L.A. So, like, a lot of, like, finicky stuff, which is kind of in the DNA now. But I was like, if we're going to do, like, that kind of food, like rustic, air quotes, let's go to Marie Jean. He'd never been there, and I said, this is how I want it to look if that's how we're going to do it. And we ended up in Marie Jean, and that's kind of how this whole place with the grandma mix mash.
It's a cool looking spot. It's this old historic building on the corner, just west of the metro tracks.
Yeah, and the Blue Line.
And the Blue Line. You have all these antiques everywhere, a bookshelf that's loaded with books. The place is designed to suck you in and keep you there.
Yes, it's meant to be.
I wanted to take a nap in there, to be honest, when I walked in.
I've had people like that couch back there.
Yeah,
we
exactly.
have a couch in there. Like week one, some woman, I swear to God, she walks in, she has like an egg sandwich, like the egg sandwich that we did lecho, and she's like, well, that was kind of heavy. I feel like taking a nap. I said, well, the couch is back there, jokingly, you know what I mean? Like, she went back, I swear to God, she went back there, kicked her shoes off, her feet, puts her feet up, and puts like her hat like down like one of those joints, and just goes to sleep. Just took a nap.
Only in Chicago.
It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my. It was just like. That's exactly why we do it this way.
All right, so let's jump a little bit. What are we eating here? And we'll get to Fooditor too.
This is a taco salad, right?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. Well, it's a Puerto Rican version of a taco salad, so.
Let's see here if I can get a...
So that's not a tortilla. That's
that's lavash.
Which is a Hungarian bread?
No, it's like a Middle Eastern like pita, almost like a thinner kind of pita. So what I did was, this is like I'm gonna butcher it, so I'm not even gonna say it. It's like a Turkish word for like eggs or whatever, but it's essentially yogurt and eggs. So it's like dill, yogurt, eggs, some like Aleppo pepper, olive oil type stuff, and so we were messing around with that. Like,
here, can I have the bottom one? I'll give this a shot.
Yeah, we were messing around with like those kind of things, and I was like, okay, like that's cool, but let's do something fun with it.
So this is what I really like about this place, and why I think you're the very last place I went to get into last year's book, because it was you opened up and I'm like, this is kind of weird, maybe kind of crazy, but at the same time, it's just weird enough.
Yeah.
So
thank you, by the way.
Just weird enough.
That's like the ultimate compliment, I swear to God.
Well, yeah, I want places that have personality. Yeah. I want them to be about something, and Puerto Ricans making Hungarian food with enough flowers for a fancy place like Entente or something.
Yeah.
Hit the.
Also, I'm not Puerto Rican, but I'm Mexican.
You're Mexican.
As fuck.
Oh, that's right, because I called you Puerto Rican on some other radio show.
Yeah,
and have still not sufficiently atoned for it, apparently.
Oh, I give him so much shit. Anytime I see I see a post, I'll put the Puerto Rican flag emojis. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think when you put us in this year's book, I put on the story with a bunch of Puerto Rican flags and little frogs. It's just like, it's whatever. It's fine as long as the food's good.
The lardon, the smoky little
Piece of bacon.
French word for bacon.
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's bacon. So what I did is I took some Hungarian bacon, which is like super smoky. Like we use this for the head marrow toast, right? So we use this to give it smokiness.
I like it.
It's nice, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like super. Like too much of that is like it's a smoke bomb.
You have to use it sparingly.
I mean, I literally gave you guys about 25, 30 grams of it. Like it's a lot of smoke for that. So what I did,
even with that, it's a mild tasting dish.
Yeah, it's super. It's like I don't like heavily like crazy seasoned food. Like it's one of those things that like it comes from like that Japanese cooking background where everything's super like balanced. There shouldn't be one note that's like really hitting you in the face unless it's wasabi.
Because you're Japanese as well as Puerto Rican.
As well, Japanese, Puerto Rican, Mexican, it's just a whole maritage, right? No, but working in Momotaro, I learned a lot about like balancing stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like kind of mellowing certain flavors out. And, like not everything has to be like if you put spice in there, it shouldn't just be hitting you in the face, right? It should like kind of enhance the dish as opposed to like overpower it. So with this one, it's a natural enzyme, active bacteria yogurt, dill, a little bit of garlic, lemon juice, and smoked codfish roe from Rare Tea Cellar. Fold that in there.
And that's what's so beautiful. I mean, this is a place where, I mean, this is a new item, but what's it going to be, $11 maybe?
Yeah, maybe like $10.
Yeah, $10. And there's all this, high-end training in it, but at the same time, it's basically, it's a simple dish. It's yogurt and an egg and bacon in it.
Yeah, it's like, I hate the word like elevated. Cause that's... That basically
implies
that it wasn't shit until you discovered it. You know, what I mean? It's a super like it's like this food has been around forever. Like we're not doing anything that is super like revolutionary except for putting really nice greens and flowers on it. You know, this has been around forever. Like, I mean, except for I made it into a taco shell, the lavash, but that's like one of those like taco salad shells. And the point, and you're doing it the right way too. You're eating it and then you eat the lavash afterwards, kind of like.
I love anytime you can actually eat the bowl.
Yeah. Dude, it's like Panera bread bowls. Like that's another one of those things. So I was like, yo, pumpkin patches and Panera, they've got the formula. Like, and they put everything inside of bread. It's just hollow out a loaf and throw chili in it, and you can do no wrong.
All right, so James was asking about marrow toast.
Yes.
Yeah, we
so
were
tell
inside.
him
I saw that on the menu, and it got my interest.
Yeah, that's the one that everyone's eye is drawn to, mostly because this is like marrow. But like the misconception is that it's bone marrow. It's in Hungarian, like the word for brain in Hungarian loosely translates to head marrow. Like, I mean, it makes sense. It's inside of, right? So it's veal brains, chicken livers, that bacon there that we kind of cook down, like make it into a pate. And then spread that over some sourdough, add watermelon radish, some celery, microgreens, mixed assorted greens, depending on what we get from the people who grow it for us, the closed loop. So they grow a lot of greens for some nice restaurants, and Adam's a homie, so he sends us like a nice box of stuff. And so the greens will change from time to time. It's never really the same thing.
It sounds intimidating for someone walking off the metro stop and walking in.
It's intense, man. I mean, like
veal brains, $8.99.
It's intense. You know what I mean? It's intense, and people. But like we price it accordingly, so it encourages people to like experiment. Because if something's like $9, you're not gonna be super pissed if it sucks. But if it's $25, you're gonna be mad. You know what I mean? So it's like, all right, cool. Like we've priced it so to make experimentation kind of like feasible or even like approachable. And I think like that's another thing that really like. Doesn't upset me, but it's super like shitty that restaurants do that. Like, I understand margins. You know, I worked in restaurants for a long time. I get margins, and I understand how food costs and how stuff works. But like, you don't have. I mean, our overhead is so low. We pay like nothing for that place, which I probably shouldn't say that because now they're gonna raise the rent on us. But we don't have to like. I mean, we could, and I've had lots of my friends who work in restaurants come in like, dude, you should like double the prices people will pay. And I said, just because they could doesn't mean I should. You know what I mean? I'm not going to do that. No, seriously, it's a shitty thing to do.
I agree.
And again, it's a coffee shop. Like, I'm going to feel like an asshole charging somebody $30 for a dish. You know what I mean? Like, and $2 for coffee. So it's like,
right.
It's like you're coming in to have coffee, and oh, here's cool food. That's always the draw. You know what I mean? Like the coffee's first, and the food is kind of like.
Mm-hmm. It is just a nice, comfortable place with cool, adventurous dining going on. I'm getting a little bit of a bite. Is this just pepper?
It's Aleppo. So what I did is, I brushed the lavash with a little bit of butter, Aleppo, and some salt.
Explain Aleppo.
Aleppo, it's the crushed red pepper.
That's all it is?
Yeah, it's red pepper.
Where's Aleppo?
I want to say the Middle East.
Yeah, I know. It's Syria.
Is it Syria? Is that where it is?
That was a 2016 election comment.
See, this guy, he goes deep with those. We were riffing on Green Acres earlier. He had some good ones. But yeah, so we do it's just Aleppo butter, and then I took some of that just because I like the colors. I added a little bit of butter powder that I also get from Rod, and I made a foam out of butter powder, Aleppo pepper that I just kind of just like let it soak in water and then strained it.
This gets more interesting once I get past the egg and the yogurt.
Right? Yeah. It's supposed to keep building and like different nuance and you can eat this cold. All of our food, we call it a writer's menu because writers are notorious for eating their food super cold. So like you can eat it cold or hot. It won't really. The only thing it's gonna affect is texture. It won't affect flavor. I mean, it does to some degree, but like, it doesn't taste shitty when it's cold. Like I've had people like let their soup sit for like an hour and then this was amazing. I was like, you should have had it hot. It was awesome. But
if you're just tuning in on Facebook or wherever, that's Mike Gebert. He's the man behind Fooditor. That's Rafael. Finom Coffee on Irving Park Road.
Yeah,
is his place. It's Hungarian food. It's coffee. It's a place you'll want to hang out all day if you visit. Plan on bringing a book or just reading one of his. We're going to be talking about Fooditor in a second, the Fooditor 99, the annual guide to Chicago restaurants. Before we do that, we talked at the beginning of this recording, opening a restaurant in the wintertime in Chicago.
One of the stupidest things you can do. It really is.
It seems like a sort of situation that would lead to some gut check moments.
To put it mildly, for sure, dude. Like, it's a kick in the nuts. You know, like, seriously, it is. I mean, like, we're from here, so we account for cold a little bit, but like, you can't account for how other people deal with the cold. So It was the first week was insane because it was new and it made some headlines with, I don't remember, Block Club or something wrote about it, and we were just expecting to kind of fly under the radar, just chill, do our thing, and like whatever, just kind of grind it out and hang out and not have to be beholden to anyone or have anyone as a boss. And it was crazy that first week or two. Then it kind of just died down because the polar vortex came like immediately after that. And yeah, dude, it was a couple of $25 grossing days. It sucked. It was bad, but I mean, like, live and learn. I'll never do that again.
And you're here. It's open now.
And you know what? And I'm not just saying that. I've said this to Michael in private. I've said it to anybody who asks. Michael put us on the map. Like,
thank you.
I've said it to you. Don't act surprised.
Yeah.
I've said it to you in person a bunch of times. And every time I see him,
Block Club put it on my map, and then I noticed it.
But I mean, like, but you do that blast, so you send it out to all the food people, and then we had Steve Dolinsky come in.
That fucker's been everywhere.
He's everywhere. We were just talking
every
about
restaurant
that. Like,
I walk into, I see his mug.
You go to the Himalayas at a small shack, and you eat. His picture's gonna be right there. He's everywhere. And so Dolinsky
we were talking about there used to be a Polish place on the far south side called Zalis, and as you walked in, there was a picture of John Paul II, and under it was Dolinsky's headshot. So that
sounds about right.
Yeah.
I always call them the two popes. Yeah.
I was going to call him the Pope, but I wasn't going to let you tell that story first. But,
sorry.
And here's the thing about Mike Gebert, the man behind Fooditor, the food writer whose work I have loved for years. You know the most arcane trivia about food, Chicago dining, chefs. I mean, your brain, if I pulled apart your brain, I'd find all kinds of crazy shit lost to the ages.
And if you made marrow toast out of it, you'd absorb it all.
Bring it here. We'll get some. We can get a couple servings out of it, I'm sure.
Let's jump to the Fooditor 99. Where to eat and what to eat there. For people who don't know Fooditor, and we talk about this every year, but time for a reset. Explain the philosophy behind the 99 restaurants that make your annual book.
Well, I was just thinking, everybody has their recommendations, and Jonathan Gold, the great food writer in Los Angeles, who's since passed away, had published a list every year called the 101, which was punning a little bit on the fact that they had the highway, the 101 highway out there, which means I really should have called it the Fooditor 9094, but I just couldn't do that. Yep. Anyway, so I thought, 99 is a catchy number. It's a number that I could actually write up my favorite places, that many of them in a year, without driving myself insane. It's not the Fooditor 1000,
right?
And so I could say as much as I wanted to say about each place, which could be a couple of lines or it could be 4 paragraphs, as to why you should check it out. And I just really focus on the places that to me have personality as well as really good food. They have somebody who's pursuing a particular vision of whatever they want to make, whether that's hot dogs or a fancy meal. It's just that guy who really is into it and does it really well and all that. And you just want to support it because the enthusiasm and the uniqueness of the feel is there. And, so Hungarian coffee shop run by Puerto Ricans, was right up there.
Sold.
That's
your elevator pitch.
And, and it's like Kimsky last year. Juan is Korean, works with Edmar Marzowski, who is Polish and Korean. And so they do, this Kopo food. I mean, that's another great only in Chicago.
I already feel like I'm in the weeds with this conversation. the names, the cuisine, I already feel like I'm
But,
super deep.
Korean and Polish, they go together because they're both about dumplings with pork in them. So why
makes
not?
sense.
And pickled cabbage.
And pickled cabbage. Yeah. So, that's what's beautiful in Chicago is these oddball combinations become perfectly natural here. So that's a lot of what I like to celebrate. I mean, it's just whatever someone is pursuing their vision and making it possible, and also getting you out in the neighborhoods. I mean, we're talking about how this is not anybody's idea of a culinary destination, this area, but it's cool it's just part of the city. I mean, it's a real workaday part of the city, and
this part of the city has been screaming for some sort of revolution. I mean, there's some really lovely houses around here, and I'm sure those people who have those lovely houses like to go out for a nice night of food.
Yeah. I always try to steer people toward, because we're all open during the day, so I steer people to Eris and my other gem, Community. I love Community.
Yeah, that's up in Portage Park.
Yeah, literally right down the street, about 15-minute walk from here. But you're right. I mean, people around here, they have money. The houses are beautiful, which implies they're not cheap, So they have to schlep down to Logan or Restaurant Row to eat. And so it's nice to see more people doing stuff here, catering. These, like you said, they've been forgotten. Nobody thinks of the Northwest. People think this is like a suburb. When I tell them I'm in Irving Park, I swear to God, I'm like, is that a suburb? I was like, you gotta go north of Roosevelt, man.
For real.
Well, I tried to think once, what's the most famous restaurant on the Northwest side? And I was stumped. I finally decided it's Superdog.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You know, but what's number 2? I don't think there is one.
Red Apple down the street.
Yeah, really.
The Polish buffet.
Oh, man, I forgot.
Yeah.
Wow, so, Finom is new on the list this year. What else is new? Mr. D's, was that a new addition this year?
Yeah, I added Mr. D's. I mean, that's a place that's been around forever. And I even included it last year. There was an appendix of classic old school places, but it's gotten a lot of attention lately for some reason. There's been, just a lot of talk on Twitter and other places about it. So I thought, what the heck, give Mr. D's a focus there.
Here's the beauty of your book, of Fooditor, of the ethos of Fooditor. Your criteria allows you to talk about a place like Schwa, but it also allows you to talk about a place like Mr. D's. I mean, everyone's covered on this.
Yeah. I mean, it's whatever's good in whatever category, because we all eat all kinds of things. You know, we're not, presumably not jetting around to all the Michelin restaurants. So there's going to be the day that you want to have a nice night out, and there's going to be a day that you want pizza, and it's all good.
So for contrast, you take all your own pictures for the Fooditor. There's a picture of Mr. D's in the book. Literally, the place looks like a shithole. You drive down the street, you're not thinking, here's somewhere I'm going to take the wife and kids.
Right, no. It's,
like, of all the places to include a picture of in this book,
trying to find it
of
here,
all the
but
lovely facades in the city of Chicago.
why can I not find it? I don't know.
I think
but it's
You chose that to include in the book.
it is so quintessentially Chicago. I mean, yeah, here it is.
There it is.
When I went in there this last time, you know, half the people in there are wearing reflective work clothing.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, that's Chicago.
It is
It's all
Chicago.
those, you know, streets and sand type guys out there enjoying a really good steak sandwich with fresh cut fries. I mean, probably the best fries in the city. I think
That's a bold statement.
Nick Kindlesberger said that in the Tribune, and I'm not inclined to argue too hard. Although I kind of think the best fries are you order chicken at the Athenian Room and the fries are under it and soak up the chicken fat, and but the chicken is just kind of delivery method for chicken fat to the fries.
See,
in my view.
similarly, I like Rick Benny's, how they serve the buffalo wings on a bed of French fries.
Yeah.
That's a plus for me. But staying on Mr. D's,
Yeah.
which is legendary, you talk about the fact they serve RC, and then you follow up with, do I even need to point out that they take cash?
Right.
Like if RC's coming out of the cooler, you're not whipping out the credit card.
You're not Apple Pay. Yeah, you're not.
Yeah, they're not tapping. You're tapping your phone to a piece of cardboard. My friend.
Right.
It's not
They're
doing
like,
anything for
what
you.
are you doing?
Yeah, look at you like you're crazy.
See, another thing. I want to talk about trends. A couple new additions this year. Fried chicken. I thought we were over the chicken hump. Miss T's Southern Fried Chicken made the book this year. Big Boss Spicy Fried Chicken, which I don't
Yeah.
think is that far from Miss T's, made the book.
Well, no, it's down in
That's in
Big Boss
Bridgeport.
is in Bridgeport.
Okay. But still.
Yeah, well,
Lots of chicken.
part of it is just because my son wanted fried chicken one day, so I look on Grubhub, and there's Ms. T's over in Wrigleyville, and it's like, okay, black soul food fried chicken coming from Wrigleyville, I got to try that, and it's pretty good. So Ms. T's made it this year. Big Boss, yeah, it's interesting. The woman, I think she's Chinese, but like lived in Guatemala or something like that. So there's this weird little Central American tinge to some stuff there.
It's like a Mexican
which, again,
dude making Hungarian.
yeah, it's this weird fabulous city. So,
That's
but
it.
that's a really nice fried chicken sandwich. And yeah, we kind of had the fad of that, and it went away, but nothing ever goes away. I mean, ramen places keep opening. I thought we were sick of ramen, but
We
I
are.
think the one
Still
that isn't
happening.
coming back is poke.
poke. No, well, it was kind of
I'm
fake
okay with
anyway. Yeah.
that.
You're okay with
Going
no more
away,
poke.
that's-
Yeah.
I was. That's whatever.
So, do you see anything coming, like a wave of dining on the way?
I think the big trend to me is younger Asians in particular, but not necessarily Asian. They could also be younger Mexican or whatever. Their parents were in the restaurant business and opened the very traditional place, the Chinese restaurant that had the Zodiac menus.
Like 16-page menus.
Yeah,
You're like,
you know.
there's no way all this stuff is fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the kids grew up in America, and they know what 2020 dining is like, and they know what fast food is like and all that. So they take the best parts of the flavors from the kind of places that their parents had and jazz them up into something that's kind of more stripped down and fast food friendly. Great example of that is Landbird's in Logan Square. And there's a place, where the heck is it? I don't know. It's like on West Lawrence in Albany Park called Great Seas.
Oh, great. That's the lollipop chicken wings place.
Famous for the lollipop chicken wings.
I had those on New Year's Eve.
There you go. Yeah, and they're fantastic. And he and his
they can
dad
do shit.
lived down the street, and so he opened his own, salute to Great Seas chicken wings kind of place in Landbird's, and he's like playing around with other things. He's done like spam masubi and some of those other, weirdly Chinese crossed with the U.S. Navy provisions kind of foods like that. So he's playing around with his own heritage and with the kind of food that he grew up with, eating and packaging in a way that works in Logan Square. You don't have to go have an hour and a half Chinese menu at a table with a tablecloth and all that.
I went to see a band called Hai Long earlier this week at the Riviera. Apocalyptic folk, you might like it. And we were looking for a place to eat beforehand, and I've never been to the Chinese place that's kitty corner from the Riv. It's been there forever. It's like 2 doors north of the Ethiopian place. Walk in, we get one of those like 30-page menus, and I'm looking at the stuff that's on the menu. Frog, quail,
that sounds amazing. Crab,
lobster, and I'm thinking, there's no one in this restaurant. There's probably no one ever in this restaurant. What is sitting in that refrigerator?
Right, yeah.
Like, you can't do all 200 of these dishes well. So I went with orange chicken. That seemed like the
something that has turnover.
The most stomach safe of the entire. I wasn't going to go deep on the quail.
Yeah.
I just had. Funny, speaking of the younger Asian people who open restaurants. So my friend owns a spot in Chinatown, and we were literally just having this conversation last night about how I was asking him, how is it about running the restaurant your parents had in the beginning, and now you're as trying to keep the tradition alive, but also like putting your own spin on it. And he used the term, he goes, ABCs, American Born Chinese, right? He's like, me owning this restaurant makes it less legitimate. Than like what, and he was telling me, he goes, it's hard, it's fucked up because like I'm too American for the heart for the people who are from China and too Chinese for the Americans. He goes, so it's like it's this
weird spot to
he's
be
in this
in,
weird spot. And I mean I can identify with that, you know what I mean? Like, as an American born Mexican, you go back to Mexico, they treat me like they treat the white guy in the Hawaiian shirt, you know what I mean? Like, I'm American to them, you know what I mean? You're too white for the brown people in Mexico and too brown for the white people here. So like we were talking about the whole thing and about how maybe it's time to like start. He's thinking about like rebranding a lot of the stuff and like cutting that menu down. And I had the orange chicken. He goes, really? You're gonna eat orange chicken? And I was like, dude, like I love you and I think the food is amazing. And I said, but like sometimes that's just what you want.
Orange chicken is a great dish. It's not its fault that how badly it's made.
I literally told him, I said, dude, like with all this rebranding shit and all this like doing away with all the old stuff, I said, never get rid of this orange. Never get rid of orange chicken because I will fucking stop coming here. Even though you're one of my dearest friends, I will just stop coming here.
I went to a place today called I'm not sure how you say it, but it's like Xi'an Dynasty or Cheyenne, however you say it. It's a region of China that we've started having a few restaurants from just in the last couple of years. And, I went in thinking I'm going to have to look on Yelp or whatever, try and figure out what's good here. And they actually had a stripped down menu that was just maybe 16 things in all with pictures on both sides of the menu. I was like, that's a kind of a smart approach.
Yeah.
You've got fairly, pretty authentic flavors from your region that are going to be somewhat different and strange to, gaijin walking in, and but you make it really accessible. I can see a picture of the dish, so I kind of know what I'm expecting, and my choices are not infinite, which is good.
I agree. So we talked about new additions. How do you make the decision to let a restaurant go year to year?
Yes. How do you make that decision?
That is.
Do you have to have a tough conversation with those restaurants?
I've had a few people ask me, did you come in and something was wrong? And it's just like, I've run it 3 years now, and it's just like, it's time to put something else in there. And particularly, it's not hard if they're getting a lot of attention elsewhere, because then I feel like I've done my job.
Yeah.
If I'm really one of the people who called attention to them first and the most, and now they're turning up in lists and more mainstream publications, congratulations, you graduated. So that's okay. And I do just, it's kind of my own boredom. It's like, am I really going to run that thing again? Yeah, no, I'm going to pick a different place.
So really, you talk to these restaurants, you say, it's not you, it's me.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Noted.
Yeah. No, I know. It's like the first year we went to Con Barbecue.
Oh, yeah.
And I took them out this year. It's not that I don't love them. I was just there a few weeks ago. But there's a bunch of other Indian
That
places. Your car still smells like it?
My car, but every time I have a sinus infection, I think I should go to Con Barbecue.
Right. Clear it right
That will
out.
clear me. Yeah.
Nice.
But like this year, I mean, I'll give you an example. There's an Indian restaurant called Eggaholic. And it's focused on this drinking
not a real
food
name,
in
is it?
Gujarati, which is a region of India. So first of all, it's cool that it's specific to a region.
I think it's cool that you're saying this shit without reading notes. Like,
I thought he was looking at the book. I can't see.
No, I'm.
I was like, wow, that's.
But yeah, so Eggaholic has all these dishes based on eggs. It's apparently what you do. That's their street food. It seems very impractical street food to me to fry up an egg and mix it with some other stuff.
for real.
But that's what it is, and that's what they sell at midnight. Is people are staggering out of bars in that area, and so this place opened with that, and that's just cool to me. It's like there's a whole slice of culture in another part of the world that is now making itself available to us for $8. So why wouldn't you take advantage of that?
I'm literally writing this down right now. Eggaholic.
Well, there is a book that contains it. You
No,
could just have that.
I do want to say, while Finom Coffee is still part of Fooditor, before it goes to the great beyond, because of Mike's reckless whims, here's what the book says about Finom. One of Chicago's mysteries is the lack of Hungarian restaurants in the region. With the opening of this cozy coffee house in a historic storefront in November, their short list of heady paprika I bet it's hearty. I probably didn't transcribe that well. Hearty paprika spicy items now represents Hungarian Chicago, along with some items such as marrow toast.
And this is one of the great mysteries. Like, we're not that far from a cemetery that's full of Hungarian names. There are no Hungarian restaurants in the city other than Finom Coffee.
Is this the only representative in your book? 'Cause
Yeah.
You have
I love that it's in the index as it says Hungarian, and there's just the one.
There's just the one there, yeah.
so
someone might
ridiculous.
look for that. But, there used to be a few out in the suburbs. They're all gone. There is there's a grocery store out in Glen Ellen that's owned by a brand that makes Hungarian sausages and stuff like that. And that's kind of it for Hungarians. Where did the Hungarians go? What have you done with our Hungarians?
Well, it's interesting.
They're in the sausage.
What excites me about living in Chicago, I think, is completely reflected in the index that Rafael just mentioned. I mean, you go through this list of cuisines, all are represented in the book. Asian, barbecue, Chinese, Cuban, Dominican, Eastern European, Hungarian, French, Nordic.
Yeah.
Nordic.
Nordic. Hailung, you could have taken them there.
I could have. Indian, Turkish. I tried to get Hailung in the car. Hard to believe they didn't understand the concept or didn't buy into the concept.
They couldn't fit their antlers in.
Yeah. And their pelts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A friend of mine, Mike, who's a sommelier now on the West Coast, saw that I was at the concert. He said, "Yeah, I just saw them in Portland. The crowd was very beardy and smelled of cured meats."
I think the whole city of Portland.
Yeah, that should be like,
fair enough.
how many of you are home brewers? Oh, all of you. Yeah.
But more
Artisanal
cuisines:
leather
Turkish,
workers.
Southern, vegetarian, Spanish. That's not even the whole list, but that's the beauty of living here. That's a reward for living in this area, is having access to all this stuff. But the tricky thing, and I say this about music all the time, you have access to everything. Music, you can stream anything you want. It's having that curation and knowing what to listen for with music, or in this case, know where to direct your pursuits to find these cool cuisines and restaurants. And that's your job.
And that's one of the reasons that I keep it to 99 too. Is like, I mean, something like Yelp is just infinite. You can look on there, and everybody has reviews that say 5 stars and say they're the greatest. And they have reviews. They have
Yelp.
1-star. They're terrible.
Hate Yelp.
So it's
I
like
thought it
this
was
is somebody's pick of what's actually worth going out to find, and if it kind of meshes with your taste, then you got a lot of new places to try.
And even if people disagree with it, which how could they? You're Mike Gebert, for God's sakes. But
Exactly.
even if people love lists, people love to debate
Right.
them. People love to say, "Oh yeah, I went to Finom. I didn't like the marrow toast, but I loved X, Y, and Z." So
Who
he
said
totally
that?
missed out on that. No one
Yeah.
ever said
Oh,
it.
I was just to give me their screen name. I'll want Kim their ass.
But I mean, just that's having that conversation, I think, is exciting.
Yeah.
And being able to launch that conversation is cool.
Well, and it's always funny. People ask me too about the numbers. It's like, how do you know that number 43 is really better than number 44? It's like, dude, I just picked it because it fit the page better. It's like it's food. It's like there's no science
It's like
to
that Brady
it.
Bunch episode. He fit the suit.
Yeah, it just fit the suit. Yeah.
The restaurant fit the page. It just made sense.
I mean, there's kind of a progression from front to back, but it's there's no science to it.
Yeah,
It's
no.
just picking
Always
cool
wipe
places.
front to back, Mike. Good call. Revisions. What requires you to revise a listing? Change of chef, change of menu.
There's some of all of that. If the chef changes, I really ought to go back and try it now. A lot of places that I review in their first year, I just know I'm going to go back in the second year because stuff's going to change there. The business needs to kind of shake out a bit. And I feel like I should go back. There's no like strict rule about it because some places are going to be there themselves forever, and some are going to change a lot. So I just kind of play it by ear. But as it gets to be, I mean, this is the fourth year for it. I don't really want to trust what I thought 4 years ago without checking back
that's totally
at some
fair.
point.
Well, one of your revisions this year is a place everyone has told me for years I need to go to. Pilsen, Bavaria.
Zaragoza.
That's Midway.
Yeah, it's
That's by
even
Midway.
further.
Oh, I thought it was Pilsen.
No, that's
Archer Heights.
That's Archer Heights or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Whatever it is.
It's actually right near where Laquan McDonald's got shot.
Okay.
Wonderful Mexican restaurant. Again, kind of the second generation thing, although it's not like his parents, John Sr., it's not like they were old immigrant restaurateurs.
John Sr.?
Yeah, I can't see him. He doesn't get that reference.
It's okay. I held back on that one until I just couldn't let it go. I couldn't keep it.
But he's, they opened it trying to do a kind of, to use the bad word, elevated version of birria, which is very much a typical Mexican dish. But then Jonathan, the son, has worked at high-end restaurants and just been out in the world, picking up other techniques. The last time I was there, I was talking to the dad, and then Jonathan was kind of experimenting with stuff. So he brought me a tongue sandwich that he had just made and grilled up, which was fantastic. It's one of those things that I would put it on my best food of the year list, except it'd be such a dick move to put something that you'll never be able to have. So
Yeah.
Right.
I was just having lunch with Jonathan Zaragoza, and he made me a tongue sandwich.
He is a lovely person, by the way.
He is.
Just an aside to that, I know Jonathan personally. It's that whole little crew that.
I was going to say, don't you all kind of know each other, restaurateurs, chefs? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
but
a small circle.
Jonathan more so because he's from the South Side. I'm from the South Side. He's friends with Juan Kim, and I worked at Kimski, helped open Kimski.
Oh wow! Okay.
Like we're all. It's that weird little like Brian. We're all that weird little, crazy little clique that's just like somehow went out into the world and started doing stuff.
But I swear to God, I had a feeling like this earlier today. I think that's true of every industry. I was in a meeting today at the radio station. I'm sitting at the table, and I realized, okay, I worked with that guy at Q101.
Right.
Worked with that guy at WGN. Worked with that guy at The Zone. Okay, everyone knows each other. Like this just serves to support the theory. Don't be a dick. Don't burn bridges. It's a small community.
Yeah, no, exactly. And yeah, I mean, it is relatively few people, and it's an industry where people change jobs constantly. So, the cross-pollination of people knowing each other is intense and highly active. So
yeah, we get around a little, but
yeah.
It's funny because the upside to that is it's a big network of people, and like people who presumably will come show you love when you open your spot.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, like that helps us stay. Like we help each other out in that way too. But like also, there's never a shortage of dishwashers or like fill-in line cooks.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've just like people have put it up in the Chicago service industry Facebook group or whatever, like, hey, I need a dishwasher, and like Michael Simmons from Marisha, all these, they're like, all right, fuck it, I'll come through. And like I hit up a couple friends like from Mars, the brewery, like Tony. I had Tony. He's working at some new spot, the Welcome Back Lounge, right next to the Whale. Now he's opening that spot up. But I had him up here. I was like, dude, like I'm so short staffed right now. Can you? So he came up here, he was washing dishes. He was like making coffee. It was like a whole thing. You know what I mean? It's that's the nice part about it.
That's community.
The shitty part about it too is, unfortunately, you have to be nice to some people to get ahead. You know what I mean? That you don't want to, but like it's
you have to play politics, just like any other business. You have to play
it
politics.
Sucks so much sometimes. There are some people who are just like, for some reason or another, they have a little bit of sway, and people have to be nice to them. And
It's gross, and I think that's true. The insurance office.
It's all industries.
Yeah.
I've never had to deal with that because I've always been in the back. I've always been in the kitchen. You know what I mean?
This is your place.
Now I have to play it nice with people that I don't necessarily.
I thought he was humoring me tonight.
Yeah, I was being so sweet to you. You're not that funny. I'd be honest with you. I was just laughing at all of your jokes.
And thus concludes Carton Carne.
We're skipping right to the next episode.
That's right. What is the next episode? I'm not even sure. Oh, I know. The guys behind Ritual, the non-alcoholic whiskey and the non-alcoholic gin. That's a real thing. Entrepreneurship happening right here in Chicago. Dry January. Seemed like a great guest idea.
Yeah.
Chicago entrepreneurs, non-alcoholic.
I've never had alcohol in my whole life, like never, not once. So to me, it's just gonna taste like whiskey. I don't know. I wouldn't know.
Wait,
the
I can't tell. You're not being facetious.
No, seriously, I've never had alcohol in my whole life.
Wow.
Up until this year, I've never even smoked weed up until this 2019. Before it was legal, I don't give a shit. It's statute of limitations. It's fine. But
that's not how the statute of limitations.
No, I don't know how it works.
Now.
I thought it was an actual statue. For a long time. It's like, here's the limitations.
Right. You have to race to it and touch it.
Touch it, it's
get you.
safe. But I've never had alcohol. Never, it was funny because now that the trend is leaning more towards like sober chefs. But when I was coming up, it was clearly the opposite.
Oh, I'm sure.
I've seen people like do coke and stuff on the line, and like it was a whole wild scene. But I never wanted to do that. And not because it just was never a thing for me, but the drinking thing is always the one that really like the drug scene. People are like, oh, it's cool, but you tell me you don't drink and it blows everyone's mind.
Oh yeah,
like, what? I don't know. To me, it was never.
It's like saying you don't wear shoes. Yeah.
Or
I just wrap my feet in palm leaves.
by the way, the members of High Lung all barefoot on stage, as you'd expect.
Shocking.
As you'd expect. All right, so
sponsored by Tenactin.
Carton Carne, sponsored this week by CNH Financial Services. Finom, Finom, Coffee. It's on Irving Park Road. What's the exact address?
4200 West Irving Park.
4200. It's right past, we said it, Metra, Blue Line, Kennedy. What a great location. We're parked on the street, no problem at all. But if you're in the area too, why wouldn't you stop here before work for coffee, after work, make a meal of it, make an evening or late afternoon of it.
Yeah.
Love the place. Thank you for your hospitality.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the food.
Talking to me and eating the food in.
Fooditor 99. This is something I just love and adore every year. As a Chicagoan, this is something I really look forward to because this is our city. This is you don't keep everything north of Roosevelt Road. This is the depth of neighborhoods, the depth of the city's cuisine. Really nice job, Mike.
Thank you.
To add to that, I was thoroughly impressed at the amount of spots that are just, like south of Roosevelt, just in the part of the city that nobody really talks about. You know, they're kind of like, oh yeah, that's Chicago too, but let's look over here. Mm-hmm. You know, they kind of steer your attention towards the north side, and there's a lot of really good south side spots.
Oh yeah, our dude gets around.
Yep.
Yeah.
he keeps busy every calendar year.
Yeah.
All right,
I picked up a couple tips from there too. So
all right, we established how to enjoy food and drink at Finom. To enjoy Fooditor, what do people do?
Order it from Amazon. That's the easiest way. They'll send it right to you. If you have some moral reservation about Amazon, contact me, Mike at Fooditor.com, and we'll work something out.
We should do like an Audible version of this.
Oh,
will you read this?
Just read it. Yeah, have Samuel L. Jackson just read it.
I did an audiobook version of my last. I did like a really short book, like a 50-page book, and I did an Audible version of it. It was so much fun.
I don't think this is the sort of book. I mean, what I like about doing it, you're going to read it. Okay. What I like is it's a paperback. It's easy to consult. You can stick it in your backpack or your glove compartment.
I mean, I'm down to read.
Sir Lawrence Olivier with the $499.
You'd better like the tingly aluminum foil mouthfeel of Sichuan peppercorn if you try the Sichuan restaurant, because you're going to get a lot of it. Sometimes too much. The Dan Dan noodles tasted like they'd been doused in aftershave. Wow, I can see why they made the list. What the fuck? Which was too bad because the chewy, irregularly cut noodles were really good. Okay, there it is. There's a little bit of medicine with the sweetness there. Uh-huh.
I think I want to say early on, you said the Hungarian coffee shop that nobody asked for.
Did I?
Yeah, it was kind of one of my favorite.
It's
like
one of the
I
just
printed that shit up.
improbable things.
I
yeah.
printed it up and it sat. I swear to God, it was up there forever. I don't know what happened to it, but it was like right on that wardrobe thing that we have there. I taped it right there. And Michael Gebert, the Hungarian coffee shop that nobody asked for.
That's fantastic.
It's like one of my favorite quotes.
All right, so 2020 is going to be your year, Rafael. People are going to continue finding the place, enjoying your food. Thank you for doing it. Mike?
2020 edition is out, and I'm already at work eating for 2021s.
Attaboy. We're proud of you. Thank you
Doing
for
God's
representing
work.
the city. If you're watching on Facebook Live, thank you for doing that. And please tell a friend about Car Con Carne. And the audio version of this will be available soon. And I'm going to make this all go away. Say goodbye, gentlemen.
Bye.